Hope it's that time again. Another edition of Straight Talk. It is. I got two computers here. Oops. Trying to get everything straightened out. It is Wednesday night, 10 o'clock. A lot of stuff in the news, a lot of crazy things going on. These are kind of pixelated back there in the back. That's our sponsor out there. Get a good look at that. What's green? It's gonna show up. I'll show it off the mug because the reason why is when they're green, I got a green screen in the background, so it's not showing up very well. So it's called Area 51 Coffee Company, www.area51coffeeco.com. You log on. They got two different roasts right now. They got a medium roast, which is really good, or they got a high caffeine roast, which is called DEFCON 1, High Alert Caffeine Invasion. You can get mugs. You can get, these shaker mugs. These are really cool. And you can get pillows. You can get sweatshirts. It's a cool company, area51coffeeco.com. So I wanted to start off with a funny story. Every day you got to make yourself laugh about something or find something to laugh about. So I teach Taekwondo for a black belt, Chung Kim's Black Belt Academy. It's here locally. I've been doing it for a long time. Had the luxury of going from white belt to black belt with my older son. My younger son now is a black belt, which is really cool. He's getting ready to go towards his second degree black belt. I mean, it's really cool to see him excel. I mean, they're going to be better students than I ever will be because they're younger. They're more flexible. I mean, they're able to do things that I can't do anymore. But funny story, I was teaching class last night, and I have some great kids in class. And one kid, he's 6 years old. Some people, try to be funny. He's naturally funny. He says, he makes a kiap sound, which is where you yell and you go, hi, like that. And I said, nope, not at that time. He was doing one of his forms, and he reaches out and he grabs it and he sticks it, goes like this, and he goes, oh, I put it back in. And I couldn't do anything but laugh. I mean, because I'm like, where does that come from? It was just hilarious. I just started laughing. He just reached out and goes up. It's gone. And so he talks a lot during class, and I'll give him the shh like this. And he goes and he'll make the lock thing and throw away the key. So, I mean, he's just one of those kids that you just enjoy being around because he's so funny and just a great kid, nice kid. I mean, all the kids are good. So, I mean, that I have in my class, but he is one that's extra funny. He'll come up to you and say things that just you have to laugh. Just a class kid. But no, everybody has seen, talking about what's going on in the world right now. But everybody saw President Biden fall up the stairs to Air Force One. I mean, I felt bad for him. I said, because, I guarantee you falling on those steps didn't feel good. But then the Photoshoppers came out. And boy, I wish I could Photoshop that well. I just can't. I'd love to Photoshop stuff for my show. But I'm sorry, I'm not quite that skilled as some of the people are. And they were like, it was like boom, boom, boom. They were out fast with it. They had the video of Trump hitting a golf ball and hitting President Biden in the head. And I just had to laugh because it hit him and knocked it, But then what really got me was some MSNBC analyst said, and was making jokes about it, that it could cause, that tweet of a video of Trump hitting a golf ball and it looking like it hit Biden in the head could cause somebody to have an assassination attempt. And I'm like, what? How do you figure that? I don't know where that comes from. I just, it's amazing the level of hate towards Trump supporters from some stations. That's the media is so biased. And I don't, you can say whether they are or not. I mean, I dislike that both sides of Congress, or well, both sides of, not Congress, both sides of parties will not work together. It doesn't matter how good a bill is. It doesn't matter how, it's, most of the votes are party line. And that's, they need to shed the parties and start working with each other. Well, we had these two shootings recently, one in Georgia at the massage parlors, and then one in Colorado at a grocery store. Immediately, people were tweeting about it, talking about how, that they were saying that, the one in Colorado was taken in custody. Oh, he, a white guy would be taken into custody where a black guy would be shot to death by the police. And I'm like, and then they're immediately taking those tweets down because they found out he wasn't white. He was born in Syria. It gets to be very sickening how people immediately use race to separate everything. And I'm sorry. Evil people are going to be evil. It doesn't matter what you do. You take away, they want to automatically talk about assault weapons ban. Well, the AR-15, everybody goes, oh, that nobody needs that. Nobody hunts with that. Well, I'm sorry, but the Second Amendment was not written for hunting. The AR-15 is just a different tool. It doesn't matter. You take away the AR-15, they're going to find some way other to kill people. Look at McVeigh in the bombing in Oklahoma City. He didn't use a gun. He didn't use an AR-15. Look at the Shania brothers Boston bombing. They didn't use a gun. Look at the World Trade Centers. They didn't use a gun. I mean, you look at they're going to find a way. Evil is evil. It doesn't matter what they have. It doesn't matter if they have a gun. It doesn't matter if they have a bomb. They will find a way, or they'll start a fire. They'll do something. They're going to find a way to kill people because that's just how evil people are. It doesn't matter. They have, there was one I was reading, and I got to read more into it, but I read the headline of it and I started reading the synopsis, but it was getting too late before the show, where the guy lived under this girl's bed for 3 weeks. She was underage and then he raped her. And I'm like, I don't know if she knew he was living under there or what, but I'm just like, 3 weeks. The parents didn't know. I'm like, that's just crazy. 3 freaking weeks living under a girl's bed. I don't know what's wrong with people nowadays. I mean, they're nuts. Well, they had Ted Cruz. He come out and he talked about a lot of people probably don't know. It's called the Cruz or Grassley-Cruz bill. It actually came out in 2013, and what they reintroduced the bill, and what it does, it's to improve firearm background check system. See, the individual supposedly that purchased a weapon 6 days before the shooting, he had a felony in, I guess had to do with somewhere on the military, and they didn't share to the background check system, which they should have. The NCIS or NICS, I'm sorry, NICS. But the bill, if somebody was a felon or, had a reason to stop them from purchasing a firearm, if they attempt to purchase a firearm, they'll be prosecuted. And I think they should be. I mean, if they're going to try to buy a weapon, and a lot of people don't know, is you could ban every, what you consider assault weapon. The AR-15 is not considered assault weapon. Assault is an action. AR means for the AR-15 means armor light rifle. That's the company that made it. Has nothing to do with assault weapon or assault rifle. So a lot of people have misconceptions about what this weapon is. All it is there's a modern hunting rifle that has the same. You change the. It's like putting I don't know, what do you call it, a spoiler on the back of a sports car, and putting different things. The to make it look different. It's still the same weapon. So I mean, if you get with people that know about weapons and let them explain it to you. And I'm not going to get into weapons. I'm a former military, former police officer. I've been around weapons, and I respect them completely. Anytime you pick up a weapon, you got to expect it to be loaded. But taking that away from law-abiding people will not stop the criminals. They'll find a way. And that's the sad part of it is when I was a kid, we didn't see this. But our society is degraded to that. I mean, I grew up, as a young kid, and I mean, we just didn't see all this violence that we see now. And then it's in the news. It's 24/7. They got to throw it in your face. They want to do is, you got to get the next, the ambulance chasers. They got to be able to put it out there. And then they got to see the people grieving. The 24-hour news cycle is so overwhelming to people that, look at what happened with, people are afraid to even associate with their families with COVID. I've had both halves of the vaccine. I had the Moderna vaccine, and I'll tell you what, I felt the next day, I felt like a truck run me over both times. So, I mean, every joint was sore, you name it, and just really tired, headaches. But I got it because of, I could have turned it down, but I got it because I work in law enforcement. But I got it because I wanted to be able to see my dad. My dad didn't want to, anybody over that hadn't had a vaccine or whatever. And he's 87 years old. And, I don't think I could wait to, this to be over. And I would really kick myself if he would pass on before before this was over and not be able to see him. I didn't get the vaccine till just about last Wednesday when I got the second half. And I saw him after the first half about not quite 28 days ago or 30 days ago. I actually saw him 2 weeks ago, but I hadn't seen him until September. So that tells you how long. I missed him. My mom passed away 2 years ago right around Christmas time. So it was a really tough Christmas for me because, last year we were able to get together with the family. This year we weren't. So it was kind of a change. Stressful. So, but, with the new CDC come out with guidelines for kids, a new 3 foot. And I was like, what? 3 foot distance, social distance for children. And I'm like, in school. And I'm like going, kids, 3 feet is nothing for kids. You think they'd be 9 or 12 feet, the way the kids are, because kids spread germs faster than, most adults are washing their hands, doing everything. Kids are picking their nose and doing everything and touching each other. And, 3 feet is nothing. So I was just really kind of surprised when they said 3 feet. And I'm like going, holy crap. So, but yeah, kids, and kids will not disinfect their hands unless they're told to. Most kids don't want to have anything to do with that, They don't even think about it. When you're young, you're like 10 foot tall and bulletproof. You'll You'll never be old. I'm sorry, but it goes fast. Yeah, see this nice little white hair. When I was a lot younger, my son was I don't know, he's like 6, 7 years old at one time, older son, and we're in to get his hair cut, and he's sitting down in the chair there, and I was sitting in the chair across from him, and the lady says, "How do you want him to cut his hair?" I said, "Well," I said, "My son Corey." I go, Corey, how do you want your hair cut?" He goes, "I want to cut like my dad." And I'm like, all puffing my chest out, like I'm all proud that my son wants to get his hair cut like me. He goes, "Yeah, and I want the white in it too." And I was just like, oh, talk about build you up and beat you down. I mean, I just deflated me instantly when he told me he wanted the white in his hair. And what's funny is I go get my hair cut now, and the lady, she always tell me, "Oh, the people are dyeing their hair my color," and I'm like, "Why?" Don't worry, it'll get there eventually. Don't, So, but yeah, 3-foot guidelines for kids. I think that's maybe a little too close. But yeah, we, talking about stuff in the news. Let me see what else we got here. We had, today. Man walks into Atlanta grocery store with 5 guns, body armor, and people go crazy. Like, what would possess you to do that? The guy walked into a Publix. He was charged with reckless conduct. And he should be, because I don't understand what you would do that for. It's like going into a crowded theater and yelling fire. What? I don't know if he was going to do anything. I still remember that bank robbery way back, and it was kind of out in LA, and watched these guys live with body armor, with fully automatic weapons. And I'm like, and the police were totally outgunned by that. And, you talk about fully automatic weapons, everybody hears the word automatic and they think semi-automatic. Well, they want to ban semi-automatic weapons, and I'm like, you can't do that. That's just about every firearm there is. Well, fully automatic weapons were banned in 1934. You have to have to even have one. It's mostly like gun dealers and stuff like that, and they go through their background check like unbelievable. To be able to have that, to be able to purchase something like that. I fired fully automatic weapons when I was in the military. We fired the M60, and now it's a belt-fed machine gun. The M16, which we carried, was fully automatic. The AR-15 is not fully automatic. And if somebody modified it, which I don't know how you would, but if somebody did, it's illegal. But every time you pull a trigger, it fires 1 round. An AR-15, an M16, which we carried, which I don't think they carry them now. They're a different model now. But you can set it. It's a select fire where you can select to single or 3. Used to be they made an M16A2, which would fire 3-round bursts, and then they have a fully automatic setting on the M16 that we had when I was in the service. We never used it, but you could. You go through ammo pretty quick, but an AR-15 doesn't have that setting. It's 1 round each time you pull the trigger, just like a revolver. The cylinder spins, but it's 1 round every time you pull the trigger. So it's make sure my news is not going over top of here. There was a video there. DeWitt Weaver, a former longtime tour player, passed away at 81 years old. 2 weeks from but tomorrow is the first round of the Masters coming up. Hard to believe. April is the beginning of the golf season for me. I consider. We've already been open for let's see, since last weekend. Message popping up here. It says, Matt, use a little more warm light orange like me. While orange might look better, I have a $30 light I can use when I teach. I can send you. Okay. Am I bleached out? Well, that's I could probably do is get I'm a little, maybe it's I haven't had any what do you call it, sun lately, so I need to get out. My hair is glowing, huh? I do have lights I can put up. I'll have to do is put one up. This one that's right above me here is kind of bleaching me out. And also what's so bright is I got 3 computer monitors going. I got a TV and 2 monitors. So if you look at it, I got a laptop here, a 22-inch screen, 2 22-inch side-by-side screens, and then the TV, which is a pretty good size. They're all blasting light at me, so I got to find some way to do it. Maybe I'll go to get spray tan, look like, what's that, Schnooky or whatever. I can't remember who she is. My daughter would be able to tell me who that is, but no. All I want to do is put out a birthday wish to my nephew, Danny Rockensees. And I was just blown away when I looked at him. He's 26. I'm like, no way. There's no way he's 26. So just time flies. Let me get back a little bit away from the light. I'm wearing my Apple Watch, and my Apple Watch keeps telling me my heart rate is going sky high. So if you see me pass out in the chair, called George, just call 911 for me. So yeah, I was just like, what the heck? I just went to the doctor today, had a checkup, everything was great. Now it says my heart rate is 56. So I think now my Apple Watch is messing up. I don't know what's going on there. Be laid over in the chair. So no, we like I was saying, you got to find something to laugh about every day. Make your day. With the COVID and everything, everybody's talking about having vaccine passports and all that. I hate to see that. Hate to see people. I did it because I wanted to see my dad. I don't plan on traveling anywhere, but I felt really bad, not doing it. I wanted to go check him out and, be able to see him and talk with him. And, I haven't seen him in so long, and it was nice to see him. We had a nice chat, talk. Over the winter, I shoveled his walk. I don't know how many times, but it was snowed every freaking couple days this winter. And so I was shoveling his walk all the time, and I'd wave at him through, give him a wave or whatever. And we'd go over and put his trash out and then put it back and just give him a wave. But, or talk to him on the phone as much as we could. But my dad's just not a phone guy. He's that era where he doesn't like chatting on the phone. Unless you're a sports program, he doesn't want to talk to you, We always joked about that. I got in trouble one time for wrecking a golf cart when I was a kid. And the assistant pro for he worked for my dad. He goes, just tell your dad, you'll be fine. I was watching you when it happened. You weren't screwing around. Told my dad, and my dad was like, next day, he goes, why did you tell me you wrecked a cart? And I was like, I did. You were right there. You're watching TV. And he goes, you know better than tell me when I'm watching TV. So got away with it a lot easier than I thought I was going to be. So we're talking about law enforcement. We've had a lot of crazy things going on here lately. We've had a couple shootings. This was it yesterday morning. I'm on my way to work. I turn the corner and there's 4 squad cars blocking the road with one car stopped. I don't know what was going on. And so I just immediately turned off, took a different, went around, kind of went around the blocks and came back to my area where I was going. But people were passing them on the left. And I'm like, into the oncoming lanes. And I'm like, you don't know what you're coming up to. You don't know if it's somebody armed. If you got 4 squads across there, it's not for good. Usually there's somebody that's in that car that is either considered armed and dangerous, or something's going on, or they got a standoff. And to drive around them, you could put yourself in harm's way. How would you like it if you went around them and they got into a shooting, or the guy shot at you? You could have your kid in the car. I'm like, why would you put yourself in that kind of a, situation? People don't think. All they think about is, I got to get to here. I got to get to here. We were talking about it when I was a police officer, they get tunnel vision, and I was directing traffic at an accident, and I'm standing out in the middle of the lane with a flashlight. It's like midnight, and I'm shining the flashlight at, right in the middle. And this guy was looking at the damaged vehicle off to the right. He drove right through the debris, ran over all, the bumpers and all that. And I'm like, I had to jump out of the way. And when he went by me, he's like looking at me like, what the heck? Where'd you come from? People don't pay attention. That's why they have so many accidents on the interstate, because people will not be paying attention, and they'll drive off and they'll hit, a police car parked on the road, or a tow truck. What kills me is how many people workers get killed in work zones. I'm like, you would think that, it makes sense to slow down. I mean, they always say that, what are the fines double or whatever in work zones? Well, they should. With this, talking about getting back to the Grassley cruise bill, I think, I'm sorry, but if you're a felon and you are in possession of a firearm and you commit a robbery or whatever with it, you need to do time. Right now, we have kids around here stealing cars. They get the slap on the wrist. It's no punishment. Be nice, George. I'm going to have to go get the spray tan. Yeah. So it has not got sunny out yet. So, but, no, so they give them a slap on the wrist. The kids are out. What deterrent does a kid have, or somebody have, if they're going to commit a crime and they just get released? I was listening to one on the news where they talked about the guy got arrested 3 times in one day. And each time they would give him a summons to go to court, and he got caught with drugs every time. The 3rd time, finally, he got in. He went into jail. Finally, the 3rd time, and had to, go for all his charges. But I mean, you think if the 2nd time and they let you go for a court summons, you think you just go home and stay home? Mm-mm. But that's like, we have the dumb criminal segment later. I will talk about that. But I wanted to talk about, we were talking about vaccines and stuff like that. Krispy Kreme offered free donuts for people that were vaccinated, and got roasted in the media. A lot of backlash over that. We had a Krispy Kreme here until everybody, I don't know how many years ago, was all of a sudden they just went, oh my God, you can't have any donuts. You'll die from it. And so everybody was like freaking out about having donuts, and then Krispy Kreme sales went down, and now people are like, whatever, let's have some donuts. And they moved. So we don't have a Krispy Kreme here anymore. We had one, but it said it would give out a free glazed donut to anyone with a COVID-19 vaccination card beginning on the 22nd. they said it was met with immediate backlash on the internet. Most critics of the donut centered around potential for a vaccinated person to get a free donut every day for the rest of the year, or nearly 300 donuts. Many of the critics were doctors. But hey, I'm sorry, but you you can tell people don't eat that, and they're gonna. It's like telling somebody, "Hey, quit smoking." I used to smoke. I quit 17 and a half years ago. I gained a bunch of weight from it when I quit. And this winter, I've been working hard. I've lost 36 pounds. So everybody asked me, what's your goal? And I said, my goal is to lose 104 pounds. And they're like, what? They're like, what? How you come up with that number? I said, well, it's a freaky goal that I want to get to. And I want to look, when people see me, I want to turn sideways and they go, where'd he go? You know, I don't know if it's ever going to happen, but I said, that's my goal. So I'm found out today I was down 36 pounds and I was like going, holy crap. I didn't expect to be that far because, my wife had bought Pop-Tarts and that's my nemesis when she buys them for my son, my youngest son. And I'm sorry. I can't stop. And I was, oh my God, I probably gained more weight, but no, actually I'm down even more. And I was like, wow. So my doctor was very happy with me today. So it's empowering. It makes you feel like, and then I went and worked out tonight. I was at the gym. So I think everybody should. I'm back to going. I mean, I go to Planet Fitness or whatever. I just walk on the treadmills really, but I walk for an hour and I want to get back into weights. I've been doing Taekwondo. So, but you walk in with a mask. When you get on the treadmill, you take it off. I couldn't wear it for the whole time I was on the treadmill. I'd pass out with that on. But it's good to see, it feels good to be back, at the gym. And most everybody's really respectful. I mean, in Iowa, they lifted all the sanctions for it. But, I mean, there's businesses that still want you to wear them. Well, I wear it. Only because they want me to. I'd rather not. It's uncomfortable. It's hot. But I wear it because they ask you to. It's a private business, so it's it's a viral infection. So it's kind of like the flu, which is a viral infection. It's going to be a different way of how you get it. Get it through coughing. It's going to sit on. I never understood how you can go, okay, wear a mask, go to the grocery store, buy groceries, and take them home. Well, you don't know if the person that just put them in the, on the shelf had COVID or not. So you could be taking them home. People go, well, they wipe down their groceries when they get home. I'm sorry, but it's impossible to completely disinfect. And you're supposed to get bacteria. Bacteria is good. It helps you build up your immune system. If you completely deplete your immune system by, disinfecting all the time, you're going to make it harder on yourself. You're going to get sicker. So, and they were talking about, well, doctors wear them in the ER or in the operating room. Well, yes, they're in a controlled environment. Everything. I mean, the temperature's lower. They have everybody goes through, and you look how people still get infections in operating rooms. Well, in all the doctors and nurses, they go through a rigorous thing to wash their hands and disinfect themselves, and people still get it. So, I mean, it's going to happen. It says 11th grade, 206. Oh, yeah. I can't believe, George, you being that big. No. What do you weigh now, George? It's when I got out of the service in 85, 1985, I come back from Korea and I weighed 183 pounds. And that summer, I was like, well, maybe it's year or two after that, I got down to 176. And that was almost too skinny. And I was lifting weights all the time. I was doing 2-a-days. I'd lift in the morning and lift at night. When I got on the sheriff's office down in Texas, I would lift. My wife and I worked different shifts, so I would work 3 to 11. So I'd go in early, run, lift weights, then go to work, get done, lift weights again, go home. Because by the time I got home, she was already in bed. I mean, that's just, when you're working different shifts like that. So I bulked up to probably 220 when I was in, maybe 220 to 230 when I was a police officer. And you need the muscle, for that. But yeah, it's the older you get, the harder it is to get rid of it. That's the hard part. But I'm motivated now with as much as I've lost this winter. I'm like 36 going for 50 going for my ultimate goal of 104. So yeah, it's the bad part about it is when I work I work a lot of hours. So George, you'll be happy to know I'm going for a week-long firearms class for the sheriff's office next week from 7 to 3 every day. So I'll get to fire off a lot of 40 caliber rounds and probably shotgun ammo too. So that'd be kind of cool. I'm excited about that. I have a class this weekend, and it's we go over through all kinds of different things, felony stops, you name it. So that'd be cool. We're gonna do this weekend. Some things I've already done, so I mean it'll be like old hat, but it's getting back into it. You have to get acclimated to it again. My son, who starts the academy May 3rd, pretty excited for him. Actually, kind of jealous because I'd love to go back and be able to do that again, but and nervous for him too because it's it's sad nowadays. Immediately they automatically think that the officer is wrong. I mean, and it's really sad to see that. In this area, we're kind of insulated from a lot of the. We're insulated from a lot of the. What do you call it? I guess would be. We don't see is like the higher gas prices. We don't see we see higher gas prices, but not to the level like they do on the East or West Coast, where the inflation and stuff like that, or whatever, or this area is quite. It doesn't affect us as much. I mean, it affects a lot of people, yes, but like what is it? The gas price has gone up almost $1 in 4 weeks. That's a big jump. My son was complaining to me about how much he spent to fill up his truck. He got a big tank on his truck. I remember I think it was something during the Obama administration. We had gas prices were so high. I had a Suburban, had a 31-gallon tank, and it would cost me close to $100 to fill it up. I mean, that was just crazy. So let me see. I got some notifications here. I don't know what the heck is with my computer. But yeah, I got 2 computers going on right now. Well, 3. Hopefully, when I get this straightened out, I got to redo my Behringer, my mixing board, and get this all set up. I haven't done a show for 4 years, so it was like a rush to get everything back together. It's kind of a mess. So I got my rolling voice It's called a transformer. You can actually make your voice sound like just about anything. You can make it sound like a robot if you want to, or you can make it echo. Well, let's see if I can do it echo. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Megaphone. Let's do that. So I don't know if you can hear it now, if that sounds any different, or if it sounds a little bit different there. I have. Well, if it sounds different there.
Or maybe there. Or maybe there.
So try to get back to turn that off because I don't want to be sounding like a robot the whole time. All right, there we go. I think I got it off now. But yeah, trying to get everything set back up. It's kind of a mess. I'm gonna have to have a guy that give me some ideas. I got a friend of mine that I'm gonna have to call him up and maybe bribe him with some more, with some coffee, or bribe him with some, maybe have to something. I don't know, and have him step me through and get this all set up. But it's just it's a mess of wires going everywhere right now. And then the green screen in back, and to me it looks like it's flipped around backwards. But when you show it on, I'm seeing everything back. I'm reading it backwards. But no, but we're talking about criminals. Well, they have these. I saw this thing about drones. These new drones that the law enforcement are going to be using. It's unbelievable, the detail. And these are different type of drones. They're not the drones where you fly it around for 20 minutes, and which are really cool. The cameras on those are so amazing. I'd love to own one. I was just afraid I'm going to crash it. A friend of mine brought one out, and he did a drone flyby of a couple of holes at the golf course, and it was cool as ever. Very neat. I would love, they're not cheap. A good one is going to be like $400 or $500, but you could fly with your phone. I was talking to he's a police officer / fireman, but he works for MedFlight, which is the helicopters. They go out and pick people up. That's what he's assigned to. He told me the new helicopters, they have these things. You can fly them with an iPad. That's how advanced they are. And that's crazy. We when I was in the service, they would take us in choppers out to. I was an MP, so they'd drop us off. We'd block off roads out in the middle of nowhere for missile fires when I was stationed out in Texas. Well, he one of the chopper pilots says, "Hey, what do you notice by looking down there?" And I'm like, telephone poles. And he goes, what don't you see? So when you're up in the air, you can't see the wires. That's why if you ever notice when they go to near hospitals, they have that giant ball on the wire. That's so people, the pilots can see the wires as they're coming down. But I always wanted to be a chopper pilot, and I don't have the eyesight for it. And I made a mistake. Don't ever ask for a ride. It's like you never ask a fighter pilot for a ride, and you never ask a chopper pilot for a ride. I made a mistake of doing that when I was in Korea, and needless to say, they took me up to I don't know how many thousand feet and turned the throttle off when I'm taking pictures out the door. Next thing you know, I'm swimming for air, and the camera hit me in the mouth, and they were laughing at me. They did what they call a 0G negative drop. And when a 0G negative drop, well, my stomach was down here and instantly was right here. I was ready to, it was on evacuation level. It didn't, luckily, but that was so they were flying around, and after they'd done that to me, they were pretending they were buzzing Jeeps and making the guys up front making machine gun sounds over the radio, and I'm just like going, I was on a roller coaster, and I was just like going, oh my. I was 21 years old, just stupid enough to ask this captain for hey, Cap, can I get a flight? Oh, sure. Dummy. Don't ever do that. A friend of mine, when we were in Texas, he asked the colonel if he could get a ride in the Cobra gunship, which I probably would have still asked that anyway. And he sat in the front seat, and the guy went and turned him towards the ground and ran him up and down the mountains. And he's screaming, "Stop, stop. I'm going to throw up." Because you throw up, you're going to clean it up. Yeah, he said, don't ever ask for a ride. Well, when I was stationed out in the desert, we had it was 6 miles access road. I don't know if I remember telling the story. I don't remember if it was last week or whatever, but we had one of my sergeants come in. He goes, "I just saw a UFO," and I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I just saw a UFO," and this was at McGregor Range, and it's actually in White Sands, New Mexico, or in New Mexico, just outside of Texas, but they call it Fort Bliss, Texas, because it extends all the way into New Mexico. And we're like, "What are you talking about?" And we go, "No, you didn't see UFO. You saw Cobra gunships." He had a Volkswagen Bug, and as he's riding in, all of a sudden, this he's driving, and his chopper's like right above him, hovering above him, and he leaned out, and all he could see was a spotlight. He thought he was going to get abducted. Well, we're going to talk about UFOs. I've had previous shows where we're going to talk about them. I've had people tell me that they've seen them. It's hard for me to fathom that we're alone with the vast solar system we have. It's just too big. People way advanced beyond us? I would think so. Too many sightings, too many weird things going on. I think we eventually, or who knows, they might be walking amongst us already. I've seen some people that I wonder if they're aliens or not. They're not little green people, but you run across a couple weird ones. It happens. So I think that we. Is there somebody more advanced than this? Oh, of course. People say that every time, people would get ready to launch, like do testing on nuclear weapons and stuff like that, and they would have spot or sightings of them around, and I'm like, wow, that's just creepy. I was a kid, and we talk about this, they get sent to your room. Well, I wasn't sent to my room. I just was up in my room staring out the window, and I seen an object flying across the horizon. I looked out, I looked at it, and I went to grab the binoculars, and it was gone. And it looked like, I know what to call it. It was kind of like a pear-shaped, and it didn't look like any type of plane or any type of object that you would normally see flying. It almost looked like I don't know how it's a weird, like a top, like it was a triangle, like in that shape, made out of silver, with all these like bumps and everything, and you couldn't hear it. Well, I would just watch it go across screen, and I just went, grabbed the binoculars, brought them up, and it was gone. So there's so many. Fox just did a story about it, about aliens and UFOs and stuff like that. I had Dr. Stanton Friedman. He's passed away, God rest his soul. He's a great guy. Probably he was the world's most authority on UFOs. He was on my show before, and when you get done, you go, yeah, it's probably a really good chance that we have UFOs here. You talk about Area 51. Area 51, when they did the storm Area 51, that was freaked the government out, because they didn't want, they do a lot of testing there. I think they talk about an Area 52. There's supposed to be another area that's even more secure that nobody can get to. We're going to talk about like Dulce Base, which is supposedly an underground tunnel system. I guarantee there's more stuff going on, and there are more interactions with things that would probably just bake most people's noodles. There's stuff that's being designed or being done, or would probably just. I mean, most people, they want that. Oh no, we're alone. Um, Everything is honky dory, and we don't want to be shocked and being told the truth. There was a somebody talked about how if you put fear in people and tell them misinformation for over and over and over, you can convince them that when you tell them the truth, they won't believe it. And I'm like going, it was like from like Russia or something like that. And I'm like going, it's scary to think that. You look at the news. We were talking about that from the very beginning of the show. I talked about how the media is so biased. It doesn't matter. You look at how, I'm sorry, if a president, doesn't matter who it is, I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat, if they're doing something wrong, the media should call them out on it. They called out the press secretary. I don't know how you pronounce her name, Pataki, or I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but they asked her why President Biden is spending $86 million on housing illegal immigrants and allowed our troops to sleep in a parking garage. I'm like, my nephew was there. He went to there. I think that it's something that, they need to address that. They don't call right now the border situation a crisis, and it is. A lot of times they showed photos under the Trump administration from the Obama administration. Those cages and those were from the Obama administration. You got the one, the press secretary said, well, we're not separating unaccompanied minors from their parents. Well, no, duh, because they're unaccompanied. They've already been separated before the parents didn't come over. The kids came over. I'm like, and nobody caught on to that. It's like everything is just hunky-dory great now. Nobody wants to call them. Everybody, like, here, give them a softball question. Ask all of our government leaders hard questions. Ask them what they're going to do. Don't give this. I mean, how long did they go on with the dog story about biting the Secret Service or wherever, the security personnel? I mean, even Oprah did a skit on it. Come on. Ask them tough questions. I don't care who they are. I don't care if it's a Republican or Democrat. Ask them questions that need to be asked. Because if we don't stand up for our country the way it is, it's going to, I hate to see where they're, they ban books and stuff like that. That's the beginning of fascism. I wouldn't say the beginning. I think it is fascism, but it's sad to see what our country has gone to. People are, they just don't care. Oh, don't bother me. I got a new episode on Netflix I got to watch. It's crazy that people will just step aside and let it go. But no, I think this Cruz Grassley bill is a great idea. It had 9 Democrat senators vote for it, and they filibustered it. So I'm hoping it comes back up, and it actually, because any system that they want to do will not stop gun crime. Common sense gun control. No, it's not common sense. one of the senators said today, he says, taking the license away from will not stop. It was like somebody gets convicted of drunk driving, you take the license away from people that don't drink. I'm like going, no, that's the opposite. The biggest reason why people own these weapons and stuff like that, one, it's they like to shoot targets, they like to shoot things like that, but it's self-defense. Everybody goes, well, it'd be easier for a woman to handle a shotgun. No, it would not. Or a smaller frame male. No, it would not. I know some women that they can handle anything. They're just as tough as the guys. But to handle a shotgun, some people, my wife couldn't handle a shotgun. But I guarantee you she could be taught to fire an AR-15. If somebody breaks in the house, I want them to be able to defend themselves. Yeah, I mean, it's sad that we have to be that way. When we're kids, half the time you didn't lock the doors. My dad used to keep his keys on the visor. I'd always go, hey, Dad, where's your keys? Oh, they're on the visor. I'd be like, be at the golf course. He had to go get in his car for something or get his keys for something, to get in the trunk or whatever. Oh, they're above the visor. He never locked his car. He just put the keys up above the visor. Now most of the cars start with push button, but they had, we had, I mentioned last week, we had 87 vehicles stolen in the month of January and February. I'm like, that's crazy. 87 in just this area. And that's just in Davenport. That's not the Quad Cities as a whole. They also had, talking about Krispy Kreme, can't even talk. Krispy Kreme giving out donuts. Let me see. There was one other was giving out free already rolled joint. So I guess over in Illinois, you can legally buy weed. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not going over there to buy it anyway. I don't care if it was right next door. I'm not buying it. I'm not. If somebody wants to smoke it, that's fine. I that's their own deal. I think they ought to do is tax it, just like they do alcohol. It's another form of drug. Why is it okay that you could have beer and you can't have marijuana? I think also marijuana should be for medical. If it helps them for their cancer or for any type of other ailment they have, if they have fibromyalgia and it helps them, hey, more power to them. I'm not going to smoke it. It's like CBD oil. I have a friend of mine on Facebook. I'm going to have her on one of these days. I'm going to have to talk to her and see if she'll come on and, talk about the benefits of CBD. They make a non-THC version of CBD. They make a THC version for your dogs. I have two of my son's dogs. One of them has hip problems. It didn't seem like he had any problems yesterday when he was attacking me. But, you see a lot, bigger dogs with hip problems. We had one, when I lived down in Texas, he was a Rottweiler, had hip dysplasia. Well, the CBD oil, you put it in their water, it supposedly helps them. We have one of their dogs that we have to give it anti-seizure medicine every day. So actually twice a day, in the morning and the evening. And all the dogs think, oh, it's cheese time, because you got to do is, you got to give them something to put it in. Well, talking about other companies that were offering, free stuff for vaccinations, McDonald's, apparently it says already employees such as Instacart, Target, Trader Joe's, Chobani, Petco, Darden Restaurants, McDonald's, Dollar General, I guess they're among the growing lists of companies giving workers time off and extra money to get vaccinated. Kroger is awarding employees $100 in store credit in addition to a one-time $100 payment for taking the vaccine. Publix said it will give associates a $125 gift card to use in the store after they get both doses. Is that the way to go? Well, apparently it's called Greenhouse of Walled Lake, a marijuana dispensary in Walled Lake, Michigan, is offering anyone over the age of 21 proof of vaccination a free pre-rolled joint. It's called Pots for Shots, whatever. But is that right? Hey, it's trying to do is promote their brand. If somebody wants to go get vaccinated, that's fine. I don't know if because some people don't have the option to get it now. Right now, they are getting it where they allow them to. We just had it open up here locally where anybody can go and get it. The thing that scares me about it, even taking it, which I did, is none of them made it through trials. None of them had any animal testing. And all of them have the protection that if something happens to you, they're not liable. So I'm like, ooh, that's kind of eerie, you know? But in the military, I still have the mark on my arm from the smallpox, you know? They use this like pin cushions when they're in the military. Remember, we had double gun, the vaccination gun, and then a needle. And I didn't know what they were shooting us up with, you know? Who knows? And then they made us take a tablet pill form. Everybody said it was saltpeter. I mean, if you don't know what saltpeter is, it's so you don't stand up in the morning, I guess, to salute, you know. If people don't know what that means. But I don't know how true that was. I remember we had an amnesty bin where you're going in and I remember the old stripes. Hey, you Karen? Yeah. What do you got? So you'd go in. Everybody had to go in because then if you had anything on you, you threw it in there and got rid of it. No questions asked, whatever. Well, if you went into the military and you're bringing drugs with you, you are really stupid, Well, speaking of stupid, I want to get on to we have stupid criminal stories. This one, I had to laugh. They had people broke into these people's homes and they saw these 3 jars full of cocaine. They took them. So they were snorting them and, going, hey, are you high? No, man, I ain't high. What do you, no, but I got a hankering about rubbing my ass on the floor or I got hankering and itching behind my ear. They were snorting the remains of the lady's husband and their 2 pets. So they were actually snorting, and it's probably a good thing they didn't get high, because if they did, they'd be breaking into every funeral home there is around to be able to snort the remains of people, and that's a scary thing. They would, but I'm like, my God, they broke in, stole the cremation urns from this lady. Oh, that's just gross. We there was also, here's another story I heard come out where the robbers went in to rob this shop, and the owner said it was a cigarette shop. The owner tells them, come back later around 5:30. Well, they did. They showed up at 5:30 and the police were there. I'm like, are you kidding me? How stupid are you? Well, here's another one where they were hiding drugs. So the authorities found approximately 75 grams of methamphetamine, 1.36 kilos of date rape drug, GHB, 1 gram of cocaine, 3.6 grams of fentanyl, and 15 MDMA tablets and drug paraphernalia. The people had it in a bag marked bag full of drugs. The dog caught it through sniffing them out. But I mean, duh. There was down in Texas, you have to have your car inspected every year. What they do is when they inspect it, they lift the hood, they make sure, they do everything. They go through all your lights, your turn signals, everything. Your car has to be roadworthy. Otherwise, they gig it. If your tires are too worn, they gig those. So you have this many days to get it fixed or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I think it's a good idea because you get cars that were driving on the road that shouldn't be on the road. But it wasn't very expensive. It was like, I don't know, $15, $20 to have it inspected each year. Well, a lady went in to get her car inspected. They lifted the hood, and she had packed, probably not her, but somebody who she was driving it for, she was a mule for, had packed heroin all around the front inside the hood. When she was arrested, she said they were having her change the oil too. They said, I didn't know they had to lift the hood to change the oil. Well, as you said, people don't realize, criminals don't realize, or they're not the brightest, I would say. Maybe the dimmest bulb in the pack or whatever. This is one of the last criminal stories here. It says apparently people were trying to steal stuff from Kohl's in Oregon. Well, they ran out to the car and the battery was dead. They also had counterfeit bills in their pocket. So tumble it into, turn that into now you're federal charges. When Texas, if you got arrested on a federal charge and convicted, you had to do 85% of your time. That was years ago. I don't know what it is now, but we had an incident at the golf course. This is years ago, where guys were running on the golf course and they were threatening people playing and stuff. And I'm like, what? Where does that come from? Well, they chased them off the golf course. They said they were going to get their gun and come back. Well, they went out to get in their car to take off to get away. Well, the car wouldn't start. So we had called the police already. When the police got there, they were hiding behind. There was a McDonald's that was no longer McDonald's. They had empty, had closed or whatever, and they were hiding behind it. So the police went over there and they were talking with it, about ready to let him go. And they asked me to come over and identify him. And I went over and we went and identified him, and we're talking to him, and they're just about ready to let him go. And I said, which one of you said you were coming back with your gun? And the officer went, gun? Next thing you know, they're all on the car, searching them and everything like that. But I mean, you think about that when you're using your getaway car and your getaway car is battery's dead, not the brightest bulb in the pack. So yeah, we get tons of stories that I didn't even touch on. And that's like next week, we'll save those. Dumb laws in every state. There's always a stupid law that's still on the books that never gets taken off and people don't enforce. But next week, we'll talk a little bit about those. We're 10 minutes over time. I mean, I didn't expect to even, I was going, hope we can even do an hour. And George mocking me about how nice and complexion I have. So thanks, George. I just maybe need to get a little color in my face, maybe tone down the lighting here. I don't know. See that's my That's the laptop sitting right there. It's the lighting coming off of it is so bright. So, yep, see that? It's not just me. Oops, and I think I just yep, I just shut it down. So, oh, there we go. We're back up again. Yeah, I'm gonna have to find something. Maybe get something to screen to go over that the laptop screen. It's kind of blowing the color out there. So, but next week we'll talk about dumb laws in every state, and I guarantee there's gonna be a bunch of stuff that we can go over that's in the news. 2 weeks. I can't wait for the Masters that's coming up. Right now is the match play. The match play is okay. I just don't like playing match play for golf. It's boring to watch. The thing I never liked about a match play tournament is you can have a 10 on a hole and still win the tournament. I don't think that's right. So I'm apparently Tiger Woods is finally home. He went home last week sometime and he's recuperating. And everybody goes, "Oh, I don't think he'll ever be back." Tiger has got more drive than anybody I know. I think he'll be back. Oh, talking about in sports, one of the Houston Astro players. Oh, what was it? It was. I just saw that article where the security was banging on the garbage can when he was up to bat because they had the big, controversy about the what was a strike, all that. They had people in the outfield with a camera looking at it. I'm sorry, but that went on for quite a while, and you caused people. You could have ruined a pitcher's career because of it. You think about that. Some pitcher could have had the worst day, and or young pitcher come up, and he has to go and he gets a buzzsaw because they're all, they know what pitch is coming. Well, it's very unfair. This kid could have cost him his career. And I tell you what, if I pitched against him, I'd go back and check. Leave you with one more story. In Austin, Texas, apparently the new people that have moved in don't like the car club they have. They said apparently it's a scary car club, and it's a native Texas car club. You look at some of the cars when I was down in Texas, they have all the hydraulics on them and everything like that. It is unbelievable to see those going down the road. It's so cool to see a car with one wheel up in the air and all the hydraulics involved in that. The one thing I loved about living in San Antonio, you see cars that are so old that have zero rust on them. That's cool. Up in Midwest, you have to Z-Bart, and it's an undercoating spray, and that doesn't even help. I mean, completely. There's so much salt on the roads in the wintertime that these cars just eats them up. Well, most of the new cars are made out of plastic. I remember when they made the Fiero. The Fiero was a plastic car, pretty much. But you see the old cars that you see in this video here, you wouldn't see any of these like this. Down in San Antonio, you see cars that are, 1950s and 1960s cars, and they're in immaculate condition. And they haven't done anything to them. But cars in this car club, they, lowriders, and they have all these pickup trucks and everything with all this hydraulics. I think it's so cool. And they bring out their families and barbecue grills and I mean, car shows are some of the coolest things you can see. People do things to cars, for free. I mean, that's their freedom. It's like you're a motorcycle rider. It's the freedom in that. I've had 2 motorcycles. We were talking about that today. About riding. I love riding. I just don't trust people around you when you ride because they don't look for you. They talk about teach your kid to look for, instead of looking for Volkswagen bugs, we used to do slug bugs, punch the other person. Tell them look for motorcycles. And when they see motorcycles, call them out. Because then as they get older, they'll get used to looking for them. I like that they have the headlights on, the motorcycles now. Did you see them? Maybe make them to where they go on and off in a different pattern or something like that, just so you can see a motorcycle better. Because I guarantee you, it doesn't matter what type of accident they're going to lose with whatever vehicle they get hit by. I was riding home when I was down in Texas. We used to ride, and we'd ride on the days it was only going to be nice. Well, every once in a while, you get a storm come up through the Gulf, and we end up getting stuck riding home in the rain. Well, you're not going to ride on the interstate in the rain because the rain feels like you're getting hit with a June bug at about 50, 60 miles an hour. So you ride the side streets, and I was riding the side streets, and there was puddles right next to the edge. So I had to ride out just a little bit from the edge. It was a 3-4 lane road, and a drunk come over 3.5 lanes and almost hit me. I don't know how this car didn't hit me. Went back over, and when we got to the light, he was so drunk that I'm beating on the window, and he didn't even know I was there. So when you get out, you're driving, you're starting to see motorcycles now. It's getting nicer. Be careful. Way back in it was probably late 70s, maybe early 80s. I couldn't tell you exactly. My grandfather, he's long passed away, was turning left, and the sun was about, right in his eyes, about this height. Well, a guy was doing 100 miles an hour on a motorcycle going down the road, no helmet. He turned in front of him, didn't even see him, and the guy died. He flew for 180 feet, landed on his head, and died later. I mean, my grandfather devastated him. He was so upset about it. I mean, he wouldn't hurt a single person. That's this type of person he was. He was, and he would not turn left after that. It messed him up so bad, and I don't blame him. I mean, I would be the same way. I hit a girl gap in traffic. She was running across. She ran right into the side of my car when I was about, I think it was 18, and she took the window out with her forehead, hit right here on my mom and dad's. We had a Cutlass salon. I was home from leave from the service, and she hit her forehead right on the window and took the window out. And I was just accelerating up for the light, and I saw her out of the corner of my eye, and I locked up the brakes, and I thought I killed her. And luckily, she had a hard enough head that all she had was a slight concussion and a cut. But I mean, you hit somebody, it will scare the living daylights out of you. So, you got to be, I hate these school zones, people flying through those. You look at them, you see these speed cameras, put them in the school zones. I'd love to see them in the school zones. Get people to drive the speed limit through them. I watch people that are sitting there, they're doing 40, 45 miles an hour in a 25-mile school zone. They're so in a hurry to get where they want, they could care less about. And I'm not a big red light camera fan. Now, if the city that had the red light camera bought the camera and they ran the camera and everything was coming from them and they were getting 100% of the proceeds, then fine. But to have a company that's getting 50% of the camera, I don't like that idea. I think that, I don't think a company should be able to, get profit off of somebody that, runs a red light. And my daughter asked me one time, "Oh, so I don't have to pay it if I don't want to?" And I know you have to pay it. You won't be able to renew your license they will do is take it from they won't let you, or if you have a tax return, you won't get your tax return if you got unpaid red light camera tickets and stuff like that. So yeah, it doesn't go on your driving record, but still. So if you lend somebody your car, you better make sure you know who does, because if they run the red light, it's coming to you. Like my son goes, well, I don't think I ran the red light. This way back when he was, living with us, and he goes, I don't know if I ran the red light. And I said, you better not, because that ticket doesn't go to you; it goes to me. So, well, we made it an hour and 21 minutes. Appreciate everybody tuning in for the second edition of Straight Talk. We'll be back next week, thinking some crazy stuff. I want to start talking about some UFOs and some crazy things. And maybe I can get get a little bit of sun so George won't give me so much hard time. I turned my monitor away from me or something like that, nuking me out here. But play a little let me see if I just got this laptop, so I don't have a lot of music on it. So what I'm going to do is leave you. You know what? I think I don't know if that's coming over or not. Well, we'll call it a night. Everybody, have a great night, a great weekend. We'll see you next week. Be safe, and if you see something, say something. Who knows? It might save a life. We'll see you next week.